We're going to call this meeting of the City of Cherokee Village regular City Council meeting Thursday, September 21st, 2023 to order. If you'll please join with me the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll recognize a moment of silence, please. Get that over there. All right, get a minute to settle in. Oh, Miss Angela's doing clerk duties tonight, so roll call, please.
Harrison. Here. Rachel.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Ishmael.
Here.
Jeff. Roland. We have a quorum.
Okay. Find the mics. There we go. I'm gonna have to push it and turn the red button.
It's on.
Okay. Had just a minute to look over the agenda.
I motion.
I would ask for a amendment to the agenda to add something to new business to discuss the upcoming SID, Cherokee Village SID, Waterworks, and City lawsuit.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to add that to the agenda tonight. Second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, seconded by...
No,
Or Mr. Smith, seconded by... Sorry.
That's okay.
You guys changed places on me. Motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Ishmael to add the Waterworks lawsuit to new business number 1.
I make a motion we accept the agenda as corrected.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Smith to accept the amended agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Write it on my notes so I don't forget. Any public comments or questions on the agenda items?
Is this the beginning or second?
These are...
Gonna do it now or later?
No, that's at the end.
Okay.
Alrighty, had a few minutes to look over the minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Smith to accept the August 17th City Council meeting minutes as written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Had a few minutes to look over the financials, the financial reports. I will say, I'm going to call out to Mr. Paul Hinch. Thank you for what you do, making the graphs and stuff. I appreciate that. Makes it a little easier to see when it's out in graph form. The sales tax numbers for July is a little bit down, but I think overall they're up because if you'll remember last April when we had the severe hailstorm come through, the numbers after April are going to be kind of artificially high for all the materials and work that was being done to repair houses that was damaged. So all in all, I think we're still good. We're still going in a positive direction. If there's no question on the financials, I'll move into the mayor's report.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
had discussed that the departments were going to come before council and readjust some of their line items.
Yes.
Was that
We're
Did I
going to
miss
have
something?
I'll have to get a calendar out. Hold on just a second. It'll be on the department heads and myself are all going to get together on the 3rd of October,
So that October meeting will adjust the budget then?
and we're discussing the
No,
budget and what
no.
needs to be adjusted and
So
get everything
that's
back.
the old budget?
Yes, to get lined back up.
Okay, thank you.
And to get started on the new 2024 budget. That's actually something I was going to say in the mayor's report is that well, the regular city council meeting will be on the 19th of October, am I correct? So like the working meeting on the 16th, I would like to have that to be a financial meeting to discuss the 2024 budget also. When we have the working meeting on the 16th. Yes, the Monday before, like when we have a regular scheduled working meeting, we
Okay.
can just
The 19th
incorporate in
is
a
our regular meeting in
2024
October, and the 16th
budget meeting.
is going
Okay.
to be for
We're going to try to get the department heads, we're going to get some numbers ready so we know where
that
to,
working meeting.
Okay.
we can kind of get started on it. I know it's still a little bit out, but we need to get started on it. Anyway, in the mayor's report, it's I know I left a few things out, so I'll try to remember them. But the month of September has been a busy month for the city. We've got monthly meetings going on to prepare for the April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse. That we are lucky enough to be in the totality coverage area, so we're expecting lots of activity. So we have been, and I say we, I'm using generically, the city have been working together with other city as well as internally inside of Cherokee Village to get prepared, like posting extra police and fire personnel for that day. The A&P Commission has been working with getting vendors and activities set up to hopefully draw the travelers in for more than just a few short minutes and showcase our beautiful area. Remember, these people are all volunteers coming together. The A&P Commission and the volunteers coming together, they're all coming together to showcase our beautiful town. We live in a great area that still believes in volunteerism. If anybody in the public wishes to help out or join in, give the city a call, and they can tell you when the next meeting is going to be stated, or Mr. Smith, if you know off the top of your head when the next meeting will be.
October 11th,
October the 11th at
it's at
3 p.m.
Second Wednesday, right, Rob?
Yes.
Be here at the City Hall in this room. They'll be glad to have volunteers to come help them. And I know this is a hot topic. I had a Zoom meeting with the local sewer company that bought out St. Joseph's Glen. It's a company now called CSWR Group. It was an hour meeting that actually went an hour and 50 minutes, so I can tell you how the conversation went. It was the meeting was between all of their utilities in Arkansas that they've bought, and they've raised their rates for residential and commercials statewide. It isn't just localized to us. They raised their rates statewide when they took over. Their explanation that was given was the rising costs of operation and upgrades that they've had to do to the system since they acquired it. I explained to them about our customers in Cherokee Village being mostly one-income households or retired persons. I was able to talk to a man named Carl Stevens. I do have his contact information for anybody who wants to call the City Hall. I got his email address and phone number for his office. He is the Arkansas Regional Manager for CSWR Group. I talked to him about the upcoming bridge project that's going on, the bridge replacement project, which I have been told by Arkansas Department of Transportation, which is still on go for what we hope November being the time when they're going to let out the contracts and construction starting in the summer of next year. If people's been looking, they was down here last week for most of the week putting their stakes up for their property, roadway, and right-of-way stakes. So I was kind of excited to see that. That's the most activity I've seen done on the project since the inception in 2019. I also expressed concerns to him about, because we receive several calls weekly about them not returning calls and emails. He said that's part of their ongoing fixes. He said they're trying to improve the communication lines as well as keep the plant in state compliance. We are, just to let everybody know in the public, we are going to do a trunk or treat here in the City Hall parking lot on Halloween night, October 31st, between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. It's a Tuesday night. We'll have the upper parking lot cordoned off for foot traffic, and people that want to have displays or costumes are welcome to attend, and we'll have be giving out candies for the kids, just to kind of give the children in the area a safe place to come. The work's still continuing on Meow Manor. They're getting close to a completion date. The exact date I don't know, but as soon as I do know a date, we will have an open house for the public to be invited. The city's website is under construction. We've talked to the guy, and same as there. I do not have an exact date of when it's going to be completed, but he will, as soon as it's completed, I'll be sure to let everybody know. The phone system, same way, they're compiling all the stuff they need to get the phones ready to transfer. And one of the things in the departmental reports that we added by request was the lady, and you'll forgive me if I can't remember her name, the senior citizen lady. I cannot remember her name. I'm sorry, that's my fault. But she asked to be put on the city, in the city council meeting, Miss Carla, to report what they've done, which I think is a really nice thing, because I would not have known. They served 2,382 meals last month, which I think is amazing for this little senior citizen center here.
That includes their home deliveries.
Yes, it does include home deliveries. That's total meals served. Have you noticed we do not have that very loud, annoying buzzing going on? They finally got the guy was able to get the lights replaced, which was very I thought was a very good deal, that he was able to use the fixtures, because he found bulbs that would fit the fixtures and was able to bypass the ballast. So we just got by with having to get bulbs and bypass the ballast instead of replace fixtures. So the outside lighting and inside lighting is completed, except for these fluorescents you see, and we're going to try to get them.
We have 3 other exterior lights going up
You're right.
in 2 weeks.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. They're going to put some lighting out back, because at the police department, it's like a scary movie back out there in a pitch black night. So they're going to put some lighting out there so they, don't see what's going on, and then out to the side over here. So hopefully by trick or treat time, it's going to be a very nice lit up, nice place. I want to also shout out. I don't think I did this, Mr. Paul, but Mr. Paul Hinch and Charlie and them did a very good job cleaning up the shrubbery out front. It looks really good. Had lots of comments. I think that's about it. I didn't mean to carry on too long with that, but I think that's about it. It's been kind of a busy month.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Question for you. Referring back to the sewer company and the lack of response to your repeated inquiries as to the status of them commencing moving the lines that are necessary for RDOT to proceed with this project out here. So having finally gotten through to this individual through the Zoom meeting, do you believe that the sewer system or sewer company is progressing at the same pace? I don't personally believe they're on pace with the water company and what they're moving forward with, but that was one of the concerns that RDOT expressed during that conference call that we had, that the sewer company was not responding at all.
Yeah, they wasn't responding to them either.
So at this point, do you feel assured that they're going to get moving so that contractors can move forward with the low water crossings?
To the best of my knowledge of what I know, yes. That Carl Stevens that I talked to, he had told me that he didn't know about it, but he called their engineering department, and their engineering department sent him an email that they was already aware of it and was doing engineer stuff to figure out how to get it moved, and
Okay.
he actually made the statement that the RDOT was going to cover most of the relocation costs, but I bet the water company would have liked to have known that. But, so,
Thank you.
yes, I hope he's going to move forward. On the departmental reports. Got anything to add from the animal control? Seen our animal control officer come in. I put her right on the spot.
Yes, sir. I will tell you that we are struggling a little bit. We're having some trouble with our community service workers that we're having out there. My partner, Mark, his father passed away this Saturday, so he's been absent this entire week. He's going to come back tomorrow to start helping out again. We are struggling really bad. I mean, with me being out in the field, I haven't been able to get to the phone as much, and people are starting to just bring the animals down. So it's kind of a little bit of a struggle, but you know, it's just a hard week, and we'll get through it.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That's it about that.
I know just a little bit of what she's got. They've had incidents into jail, and they're not letting community service workers out at this time. So without the extra help, it's been a little struggle going on. And then, so I know they're always looking for volunteers or people to help out. Community service, district court, fire department, planning and zoning, police. Oh, I knew you had something. I knew you had something. Oh, yeah, because you let me forget something, didn't you?
Down on what I asked you to bring up tonight.
You didn't give me the look. I forgot. So yes,
Well, and it's to do with animal control.
yes.
I want to question, animal control, as she says, is getting quite busy. All the construction going on and everything. I spoke with the mayor about it, and I would like to propose that maybe we could do an animal control committee, because it's getting to the point that animal control is getting into police work. I'm juggling between police and animal control, and if we could form an animal control committee that could oversee that, and maybe we could answer to the committee, and that would free up a lot more of my time for police work.
Yes, thank you. I was supposed to bring that up. I knew I forgot, but we've been talking about. I would like to see like a 6-person committee with at least one city council member being a liaison between the animal control committee and the city council. Be formed to help oversee the animal control, because our police chief gets mired down with a lot of animal issues and gets pulled away from police issues quite a bit. And we had a little deal earlier this week that was unforeseen to all of us, but it just kind of shown what could happen when you have one person and that one person can't be here for a couple days.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have a committee to help take the load off the police chief.
Mr. Mayor, we previously had an animal control committee. So are you just suggesting that we reinstate the committee structure itself and then recruit members to join that committee?
We can, yes, because Miss Rowland was the one that was going to take that torch on, and it was about the time of what her health, and that it just kind of, it didn't progress. We let it fall to the side. It didn't progress because of that. So, but yes, at one time, I wasn't around during that time. Was it what kind of committee was it? Was it a 6-person committee or?
I don't recall the number of members. You know, Mr. Hinch is here in the audience. He may be able to add to that. I know that there are a number of people, such as, the former mayor and his wife Betty, as well as Mr. Hinch's wife, that are very much involved in the project out there. And so it may be possible if Mr. Hinch is willing to come forward after the meeting and put forward some initial names, and depending on Ms. Rowland's health going forward, whether or not she would be willing to, I know she was very much supporting
Yes,
and
she
wanting
was.
to bring that back to fruition.
Oh. Can I have I need a motion, don't I, John? Can I have a motion to form a 6-person animal control committee?
I think you ought to wait till next meeting, define what you want the committee to do, spell it out so everybody understands it's being put on a committee, what their responsibilities are, and then go from there. You are the executor of the
Yes.
city, so I think
Yeah.
giving a job description first might be, and sitting with the animal control officer and making that up would be better than just make it up and then roll into it. That way the people that are coming on board will know what their responsibility is that are on the committee instead of assuming what their responsibility is.
Okay, let me put it at this as far as a city council member. If one of the city council members wants to approach me about being the liaison between animal control and the city council, you can approach me and we'll if the citizens want to come forward with a resume, we're going to put a 6-person committee together for the animal control facility, and I will have names and job descriptions to vote on next month at the regular meeting. Will that be all right with you, Police Chief?
Sounds good, thank you.
Ms. Megan? All right. And while we're on the committees, since we're going to do the 2024 budget, do we need to reaffirm members of the budget committee? Because I've never...
You appoint and we approve or deny. That's the way I know it goes.
Okay. Do I have somebody I know Mr. Smith and Mr. Thompson has previously served on the budget committee off the city council. Mr. Hinch and Mr. Covington from the public.
Now,
Is there-
Mr. Covington might be a conflict of interest if we're having a lawsuit with the water department because he is on the water department board. So that might be, I don't know.
Okay.
Would that be a conflict of interest, do you think, Mr. Lawyer?
Mr. Lawyer.
Potential. Sorry,
Mr. Lawyer. Okay.
sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Abel, getting old.
Well,
I'll
I just...
I'll volunteer to do the budget meeting.
Okay. So I got Miss Harrison. Miss Rob,
I'll be
Steve.
happy to be on it again this year.
Okay, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Harrison, Mr. Paul,
You want to be on the budget committee?
you want to still continue on the budget committee for this 2024 year?
As far as my spouse is probably a little more, would be much more experienced as far as something of that nature would be concerned. I'm glad to take it, but I think what maybe you want to do is that you would move forward with having people submit resumes.
Oh, we're talking about
We're talking about the budget committee. I'm sorry, Mr. Paul. The budget committee for 2024.
Budget
Well, the budget committee, yeah. I'll be glad to move forward with that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you gonna get some other people on there as well, or?
Yes. You'll get. Is that good?
Do you want to make the appointment now, or do you want to make it next time?
I'd like to have one more. Alrighty, I'll do the same. We'll make the final appointments at the next regular meeting in October for the budget committee. Mr. Smith or Heather, would you elaborate on the A&P and the Eclipse committee, please?
We have filled the coordinator position for the A&P. We got Amanda Smith in on that. She hit the ground running. and we move straight into the solar eclipse. We will have everything completely we'll have everything more firmed up by the 1st of October as far as the eclipse is concerned. We're planning a 3-day event. We'll start on Saturday behind Pringer's old gas station across the street. We will set up a stage for live bands that will play all weekend. We will have a 125-foot Teletron that will be broadcasting the NCAA games in the evening. And we'll cap the whole thing off with a Ferris wheel in the very center of the lot, which will run every night. And the day of the eclipse, we will run bands all the way up to the eclipse, and we'll have activities after the eclipse. We've got our band schedules pretty much put together. We're collecting food vendors right now. We're hoping to have up to 8 vendors, and it's going to be a pretty big party.
Thank you. The airport is doing some great things out there. They got some good things going on out at the airport. I hope to, by next meeting, to hear, I heard they've got another grant on the way, so they're doing really good. Under the grant report, we did get $4,000 for the police department, which was a no-cost grant to the city. It was just to file the proper paperwork, and we got that. Hopefully they're going to get some new, is it vests, I heard you say?
We're looking at shields and vests.
Yeah, shields and vests. Planning and zoning. I don't hope not drag the mood down, but we're going to have to, we got some, the Tri-County Solid Waste Disposal, they got some, it's getting kind of sad out there. They really need some help and they just really need some help and get people to help run it and some volunteers to come out. The last report I got was they're having to use grant money to make payroll, so it'll be we can't really let that go. I mean, we're kind of mandated in to have a recycle board, so if they happen to shut down, it wouldn't be a good thing for the city or the county. So we're trying to get together with the county judges to see what we can do. It's Sharp, Fulton, and Izard County. So we're trying to get together with the judges, get that going.
I'm sorry, was that for waste management? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, Tri-County Waste Management. The one that does all the recycle, picks up all the recycle. Okay, that's all on to that. We can move on to new business, which is the upcoming lawsuit. Need a motion to put it on the floor for discussion?
I make a motion that we put your letter into the record about the lawsuit.
Okay.
And then I also motion that we put Mr. Thompson's reply to that letter
Okay.
into the record. Mr. Thompson was so eloquently stated that, well, would you mind stating that again for us, Mr. Thompson? He had 8 points, I think it was 8 points, and they were just
Here goes Steve.
so on the money.
I think that's it, yeah.
And I think for me, it states exactly the way I feel and why this is happening. We, the people of Cherokee Village, have 3 entities that have their hand in our pocket. One of them's a city, one of them's SID, and the other one's the water department. And to me, they're acting like children and they're fighting against each other, but their hand is in your pocket either way. So now we're hiring 3 different lawyers with your money to resolve this. And I think the people should get up in arms about it and say no more. But
Let me lead off with my letter, and then I'll let Mr. Thompson read his. September 20th, 2023. I'm sorry, I don't want to overpower y'all. I just want you to hear me. Concerning the SID Waterworks lawsuit, it says, on this day I spoke with Clay Stone, which is the attorney representing the city for this lawsuit, about the Waterworks lawsuit. He said that SID's lawyers had contacted him about the city being interested in settling. I told him that's not how I remember the conversation, how the conversation went. I told him that Fire Chief Dentst and I had a meeting with Betsy Wall, SID General Manager, at her request. It was held in my office at City Hall. Betsy mentioned that their lawyers had been trying to reach Mr. Stone and the Waterworks lawyers about wanting to sit down and talk about a possible settlement. She asked if I could contact our lawyer and see why they had not responded. I told her I would, so I called and left phone messages and left a phone message and an email with Mr. Stone. He said that's not how it was told to him, but he may have misunderstood. Mr. Stone said that he could see a couple different outcomes, one being that the Waterworks, and by Waterworks I'm meaning Cherokee Village Waterworks, by the Waterworks prevailing and SID has to go back to paying what it always has been paying. Two, if SID prevails and doesn't have to pay, that the city could be taking responsibility for the fire protection, and that the city would have to pay for the whole thing. Or three, the agreement can stay in place and the judge nullifies it. Or four, SID their lawyers are asking for a split, and a negotiated, the city and SID split the fee in a negotiated settlement. Mr. Stone asked what I believe the city council would want to do. I told him that, as so happened, the next day we have a city council meeting, and I'd let him know what we decided. I personally have a few reservations about the city being held responsible for the Waterworks fire hydrant maintenance fees. I would like to ask how the city could use taxpayers' monies to pay for something they do not own or have control over. I know there's two outcomes for the city on this. If the city is found not responsible and doesn't have to pay, or we are found responsible and have to pay. The other side is that we could enter into a settlement with SID. I'm not really sure if that's legal yet. And if it is a split of 50-50, 50%, we're talking about $175,000 annually, so that's $87,000. I know these are rough figures, but just to give everybody an idea of what we're talking about, that's just $3,000 shy of what the whole animal control budget is for the whole year. So you're talking about, if the city has to come up with $87,000, you're going to have to cut that much from the city's budget to be able to afford it. So we all know that the city does not have the budget for that. I don't know where the money would come from without some more deep cuts, and the city is already operating on a very thin budget line and with much reduced manpower. And then Mr. Thompson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I responded to that email early this morning. I generally have clearer head in the early hours. And I just responded, ladies and gentlemen, there are several points I would suggest we consider discussing with both John, Mr. Abel, our city attorney, and Clay Stone. This contract dispute between the water company and SID was entered into over 20 years before the city was incorporated. The basis of the contract was to provide an income stream to the water company so that they could secure additional funding through bond offerings. I left that off, but it was for a bond offering. The gain for SID was securing fire protection for their properties, including facilities such as golf courses and Thunderbird and Omaha centers, and of course, their substantial land. SID is the single largest beneficiary of said protection and has the largest exposure to fire risk. SID has the ability to spread this $175,000 cost over 25,000 properties for an annual cost of $7 per lot. The water company has the ability to increase monthly water bills for approximately 3,200 meters for an annualized cost of $55 each. The city must go to the voters to request additional tax funding, whereas SID and the water company merely adjust either their rates or their profit margin. I left that out. This is simply another dispute over which entity extracts funding from the same source, the taxpayer. Perhaps it's time to consider requesting the court to consider excusing the city from this dispute and reimburse the city for the costs incurred. Last conversation I had with the mayor, we've already incurred $6,000 of legal expense. The taxpayer money being expended for legal costs to defend the city in a lawsuit that I don't believe should even be involved with. It's also time to consider stopping the costly legal proceedings resulting from individuals unwilling to cooperate for the benefit of whom we all serve, the citizens. Respectfully yours.
Have any more discussion or?
I think that number 7 is the appropriate way to go. It's time to consider requesting the court to take us off this completely. Go straight to the chase, and then what they need to do between the two of them is up to them. But I don't see where the city has any responsibility in this, and I don't see why we're continuing to spend money on it.
We've already taken a haircut.
Yeah.
And we're out of all the, even with the lawsuit that we all settled on in 2020, the city was the one that took the biggest haircut.
Well,
And SID didn't have to give up anything. The water department, all they lost so far is their contract with SID. And they've still been able to operate for a year and a half.
Yeah, the city took an $850,000 pay cut, so anyway, I'll text him. I'll email him tomorrow with the response.
Unless our attorney has.
Mr. John, Mr. Abel, you want to weigh in?
If I understand what you said, there's no offer on the table, right?
No. Well,
Well, not officially, no.
SID wants us to split it with them.
Yes, Mr. Stone. That's what he called about, was to see if the city would be interested in splitting the fees with them.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, that was Mr. Stone's suggestion?
He said that's what SID's lawyers was
Oh,
wanting.
that's what SID lawyers
Yes.
are suggesting.
And he was just asking what because like I said, it's something like this has to go to the council and has to be, it needs to be a united council, and so that's what he was wanting to know, whether we wanted him to, how would you say that to be legal, Mr. John? Wanted him to start.
Well, this is just kind of vague, without a specific offer. I guess what you guys are deciding on is whether you want to pursue a settlement offer or not.
Oh, and I did forget to mention, sorry, I'm glad, their proposed trial date is November 2nd and 3rd. Is what
Mr. Mayor,
it's said at right
if
now.
I can, I would echo Mr. Smith's comment, and that is, I believe our response, and I would even, if you need it to be in a motion, to suggest that Mr. Stone requests the court to excuse the city from this dispute and reimburse the city for the costs incurred. It was SID's prompting, my understanding, of the water company pressing forward to have a motion put in front of the judge to include the city on this dispute. So if SID can initiate such a motion, and I would defer to the city attorney, as to his response on this, but if SID can sit there and suggest that both SID and the city, or not the city, but the water department, put a motion before the judge in this situation to request that the city be enjoined or be included in said lawsuit, then the city has, I believe, an equal opportunity to go before the same judge through Mr. Stone and put a motion before the judge that we be excused and reimbursed legal costs incurred to date. Is that fair, Mr. Abel?
I don't know how the city was dragged into this thing, so I can't answer that question. I don't know if the city had an opportunity to make that argument already.
and I would like to make Mr. Stone aware that this kind of trial has already happened in another state with a water department and with a fire department. And the water department lost. It was said that they were their hydrants and stuff, and I could get Mr. Stone, a person that was in the middle of that process that was dealing with that showed that the hydrants belong to the water department if he doesn't have that background to do it. It was Mojave Valley, Arizona that this happened in. So there's already a lawsuit on record where the water department has lost this type of thing, asking for compensation for hydrants from a fire protection district, which would equate to be us. So I make a motion to, did you second Mr. Smith's motion, or?
Did you place the motion on the floor?
No, we're following yours at this point. I mean,
You had
you rolled the whole thing out. We're going to ask our attorneys to excuse us from this and reimburse us for the money that we've spent. That was Steve's motion.
Yes.
I second that.
Motion by Mr. Thompson to approach our attorneys, Mr. Stone, about excusing ourselves from this lawsuit and asking for reimbursement of legal fees incurred thus far. Seconded by Mr. Martin. All in favor? Roll call vote.
Voice vote is fine.
Voice vote. Okay, voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Alrighty. Mr. Abel, will you be in the office tomorrow? I can maybe pick your brain a little bit for legalese on a letter?
Before noon, yeah.
Before noon. I will. Alrighty. On to new business, or,
Old business.
oh, well, the new business. We got more new business.
Oh.
We got short-term special use permits for the Elks Lodge turkey shoot.
I make a motion that we
And-
accept them as long as they have their insurance.
And
I would second that.
And they have. Alrighty, it's the, you made the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Martin made the motion to accept the short-term special use permit for the Highland Elks Lodge turkey shoot and a short-term special use permit for the Fall Farmers Market, which will be going from September 23rd through October the 2nd.
Correct, that was my motion.
Seconded by Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. You want to do the public comments real quick and then?
Sure.
Okay. Alrighty, I got two people on the public comments. Is that a Miss Pam Davis? Did I say that right? I got an eye appointment next Thursday. Hopefully I can get some readers where I can actually read
I don't
again.
think your arms are long enough, Mr. Moore.
My business is basically with animal control. We have a sheriff's deputy that lives, I live on 59 Cherokee Road, and he lives on Mineola. He has 2 German Shepherds with a boatload of puppies, and you were out there, I guess, today, because the puppies were in the middle of Cherokee Road. They bark all night long. The dogs wander everywhere, and we have approached them. We have approached the police department, animal control, the sheriff, since he is a sheriff. Nobody seems to be able to do anything about it. I mean, the dogs just roam all over. They bark, they cry, they scream, and now they've got 5 or 6 puppies doing the same thing. Is there anything that can be done?
So I have, this week, like I said, I haven't been in the office very much because I just haven't been able to. But I did get one phone call from P.E.G that asked me to go out to Cherokee Road. The woman, or the man that placed the phone call, he had called from his house, so that's where I showed up to. He did tell me that there was puppies out the road, but I never seen them. Apparently her husband honked really loud on the horn and must have brought them inside. If you can give me the address, the exact address to the house.
6 minutes.
I'll have to get it wrote down from you. I will stop by there right after I leave tomorrow. And get
I don't know what his name is, and I've approached them personally. The 2 older dogs have shock collars or hidden fence collars on, and when their collars aren't charged, they roam everywhere. They chase my cat, which that's what dogs do, so that's a minor thing, but they're not overly friendly. I wouldn't trust them. But with these puppies, it's gonna be maybe 5, 6 months old.
That's what I was told, just now, that they already counted out.
And they're everywhere. And all the dogs do all night long is bark and cry and carry on. So, and it's not fair to the animals to be treated that way because they're never in the house.
No, that's not right.
They're not
I didn't-
treated very nicely at all.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Pam. And I can't read the first name, but it's Smith, Miss Smith? Reno. Okay, Reno. I could see the R, I just couldn't see the red. You approach the deal. Got it, so it's on mic and it's recorded. Name and address, please. I'm sorry.
Reno Smith, 9 Mineola.
Okay.
And actually, I didn't know Miss Pam was going to be here tonight.
Oh,
because
okay.
mine is the same. We moved in there, probably 3 weeks ago. And I have not had a good night's sleep because it's bad. I mean, they, all night long. I drove down the other day and it is 7 Mineola. The dog actually, Menifee. 7 Menifee. And, yeah, the big dog, the German Shepherd looking dog is there. And I believe it's 6 puppies. And yes, they were out in the street, but the dog actually, yeah, I'm a little scared of the other dog. I wouldn't walk up and down the street there. But that's what I was wondering is what, we can do about, there just comes a point to where if they sleep during the day quite a bit. Now today when we got ready to come up here, they were yapping
Yeah.
and we have a dog, but she's in pen. She never barks unless we're out there, with her. But I just wondered if there was something that
I know
we could
something
do.
else, Miss Pam, something else, and just from my little bit of police background that I had before here is that, it's hard to, when the people call and then you get there and, they see a full marked police car pull up with a uniformed officer, they're going to quit doing everything they're doing and it's going to be all, sunshine and rainbows. But everybody has phones with cameras and recorders. So if you can record it, it helps a lot.
I had asked, because I went around to the neighbors to ask, and I was told, well, several of us have already called and nothing, was done about it. And I thought, well, then we'll show up at a meeting and see what that we can do about it because it affects the people on
It does.
Cherokee Road, Menifee, and then us on Mineola. And you just come down in the middle of the night and listen. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call for an executive session
For personnel.
Personnel issues.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Smith requests an executive session for personnel issues, second by Mr. Martin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. We're going to have a short executive session. We need a vote to go back in.
You just bring us back into session,
Already, now bringing the council back into session.
and there was no decision.
There was no decision made.
And then I'd like to make a motion to adjourn if we have no other business.
Did any other comments from the council or from the crowd or anybody? Any comments? Motion to adjourn by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for being here.